Everybody today has got a fantastic cell phone, and every cell phone today has got some pretty amazing cameras on the back. Myself, I've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I thought today I would give you 20 tips and hints about shooting video on the iPhone Pro Max and why it's such a good phone for shooting videos with. The first thing about the iPhone 13 Pro Max is this cluster of cameras on the back here. We've got an ultra wide, we've got a normal wide, and we've got a telephoto camera on here. The ultra wide one is 13mm equivalent lens at f1.8. That means it gets a lot of light. It's really good. The main camera is 26mm equivalent at 1.5 aperture. That's incredibly fast. That's way faster than most cinema lenses, in case you didn't know. The final lens is a 77mm equivalent at f2.8. Now, most 70 or 80, 85, 100mm lenses you're going to find are usually around f4. So these are incredibly fast lenses, which means that they get a lot of light into the sensor very quickly and get a really good image, even in low light. And this little 3D sensor can tell how far away something is from the phone, so that really helps with focus assist, as well as another cool feature I'm going to tell you about later. And the second cool thing that you might not know about these cameras is that the ultra wide now has autofocus. Why is that cool? Well, that means that you can do really awesome macro shots like this. That makes this ultra wide angle lens incredibly powerful, and it's going to let you get some amazing shots that you can't get with a lot of other cameras. The third thing that makes this an awesome camera, as well as an awesome phone, is that it will shoot 4K at 24, 25, 30 or 60 frames a second. 60 frames a second in 4K means that you can get some really crisp, really high resolution images, and that's something a lot of purpose-built video cameras still struggle to do sometimes. And what's more, it'll shoot 4K at 30 frames a second using Prores. That's pretty impressive. I mentioned slow motion before, and yeah, the iPhone 13 Pro Max can shoot slow motion 1080p at 120 or 240 frames a second. If you're shooting at 240 frames a second, you can slow it down to 1/10 of that speed and have really nice clean slow motion footage that's going to look really impressive just from a cell phone. I mentioned image stabilisation before, and all three of these lenses have really good image stabilisation, including when you're shooting slow-mo and when you're shooting cinematic mode. Cinematic mode? I'll tell you a bit about that later on. Now, if you think the image stabilisation is cool, this has got continuous autofocus on all lenses as well. That means whatever you're shooting is always going to stay clear and crisp. You can also set what's in focus by choosing it on the screen, just by tapping on it, and the camera will focus to that. And here's an extra quick tip. If you've got two things that you want to focus on one at a time, you can tap on one like this, and then tap on the next thing like this. And as you can see, the phone will change focus between those two things, and then you can change it back again. This is called pulling focus, and is something that only really professional setups can do, usually with multiple operators on a cinema camera. And now you can do it on a phone. The iPhone 13 Pro Max also has what is called cinematic mode. What's that? Well, it's this. You can shoot footage like this with a really shallow depth of field at 1080p, 30 frames a second, and as you can see, really nice blurry backgrounds. If that's the kind of thing you want to really make your subject stand out from the background, you can do this now on a phone. Now, not only are the lenses very quick, but the sensors are incredibly detailed. They can get HDR footage at up to 4K 60 frames per second. HDR, if you don't know, is where the camera can get bright areas and dark areas without getting any noise, what we call blowing out whites or crushing blacks. You can get a lot more detail in the bright areas as well as in the dark areas, which means that you've got far more information to use when you're editing, and you're not going to get any horrible blown out or crushed footage. Now, the three lenses don't restrict you to certain focal points. They're not prime lenses. They also have some zoom capability. So when you're shooting something like this, you have a 3 times zoom in from the standard footage and 2 times zooming out. That gives you 6 times optical zoom range. If you turn on digital zoom, you can zoom in 9 times digital zoom, but you might not want to use digital zoom because, as you can see here, it does lose a bit of clarity on the image and you don't get that sharpness. If you really need to get that bit sharper or closer, just walk closer to your subject. Another cool feature on the iPhone is the Quicktake video. What's that? Well, you know, when you're in camera mode here, you can just push the button on the side and it takes a photo. If you're in the camera mode and you want to take video of something suddenly, you can just hold that shutter button down and it will take video for as long as you want. You can see the timer running at the top there, and when you let go of the button there, it'll save that piece of video for you, and then you can just import it and use it later. And the great thing about it is it's there ready to go whenever you are, so you're not going to miss a shot while you're trying to change setup. The 12th reason this is an awesome camera to shoot video with is the audio zoom and stereo recording. The camera can tell how far away from the camera your subject is, and it will increase the audio clarity on that subject if it's further away and reduce the gain if your subject is closer. And just so you can see the difference, this is me about half a meter from the camera, and then about 2 meters from the camera, and again about 4 meters from the camera, trying to talk with a consistent volume. So as you can see, this is how well it works. And the microphones all around the camera can help you isolate the sound of the person that you're filming so that you don't get as much background noise. Now, as you probably guessed, all of these great video features allowing you to record so much data is going to need more storage space, and in the iPhone 13 Pro Max you can get up to 2 terabytes of storage. If you're going to use this phone as a camera, I highly recommend getting that. It's worth the extra bit of money to save you the frustration and time of downloading something more regularly when you want to be filming. I highly recommend getting a suite of applications called Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is a camera app that takes the iPhone and every feature and adds a whole pile of manual filmmaking tools to it. There's a lot of automation in the standard iPhone camera. It's built for people that aren't filmmakers, who want to get a filmmaker look out of it. But if you are a filmmaker and you really want to get the absolute maximum you can out of your phone, I highly recommend getting Filmic Pro. There's more information about it down below, and I've made some other videos. I'll put some links down below in the description to that. If you've got any questions about these things, by the way, don't forget to put them in the comment section below and click on all those other links. That really helps me out. Now, number 15 is this SmallRig cage for your phone, and it holds your phone like this, and as you can see, you can put all sorts of other attachments like this microphone and a light, and of course these side handles, so you can get much more steady shot. This is going to give you an even cleaner image, and it's also going to protect your phone when you're out filming with it. If you want an even more stable shot, there's the Osmo Mobile 5. This is my Osmo Mobile 5 with my phone in it, and as you can see, this lets you move around a lot while keeping the camera incredibly steady. Once again, the image stabilisation in the phone is really good, but if you've got something like this, you can be a lot more active and the image stabilisation isn't going to have to do as much work. That means your image is going to be a lot crisper. You're not going to risk the camera turning, and when you do make moves with the camera, they're going to be very smooth motions. Highly recommend getting a DJI Osmo Mobile. Have a look down in the links below. Once again, I'll have a link to this here, so if you want one, you can go and get one for yourself. This is number 17. It's the Apple Lightning to HDMI adapter. This thing's great because you can just plug it into the lightning port on the end of your phone, and now suddenly you can plug this out through the HDMI socket into a monitor or a recorder, or all sorts of things that take an HDMI feed, say an ATEM Mini or a YOLO box. And you can mix these things up and do a live stream from anywhere or recorded video from anywhere and work on it later on just using these as cameras instead of going and buying expensive video cameras. You could just get a group of phones. A quick note, this works just as well with older phones as well. So if you've got your iPhone 13 Pro Max but you've got a few older phones sitting around, you can get these adapters, these phones, usually for $100 or less, and plug them in and use them as cameras. They're still great. This is an iPhone 5, by the way. I use it all the time. Number 18 is all talking about light. Now, I mentioned before the cage that you can put accessories on for your iPhone. Well, these are a couple of lights made by some friends of mine at Weeylite. This one here is the SO3, and this one here is the SO5. And both of them are literally brilliant lights. You can easily have your iPhone in that SmallRig iPhone cage I was showing you, mount one of these on the top, and then you've got a great light to help you film in low light situations. Another point here, this camera is actually really good in low light all by itself, but these will really help when you want to film somebody and have less noise in the footage. Now remember I mentioned Filmic Pro before? That comes with another app called Filmic Remote. The great thing about Filmic Remote is you can run that on a second camera. Why do you want to do that? Well, when you're running Filmic Remote, you can see what the Filmic Pro camera is doing remotely. So you could have one camera set up over here, and you can monitor that here. That means you can stop and start the recording of it, do a whole pile of other things, and all remotely, real time, or you might have a director monitoring it from somewhere else as well. So using a second iPhone can straight away give you far more powerful features that sort of match what these big $20, $30, $100,000 cinema camera rigs can do, just with your phone. Now, if you think remote controlling your camera on your phone with another iPhone is cool, check out my watch. You can use your Apple Watch to control the camera on your phone. How cool is that? I can stop and start the recording here whenever I want, which means I can set my phone up somewhere, use the reverse cameras for filming myself instead of relying on the front-facing camera, and I can see what the framing is like here on my watch and start and stop the recording as I feel like it. That's fantastically powerful for somebody who's going out and wanting to get the best quality vlogs, not having to rely on that small front-facing camera, even though that is a fantastic camera in the iPhone, by the way. But you've got all of these cameras at the back, and the depth sensing, and the cinematic, and you can set all of this up and run it from your watch. That's awesome. So there are my 20 reasons and tips for why this is such a fantastic camera to have on you for filming with. But I've got a bonus number 21 tip here for you. You see, this thing here, unlike all these other cameras that are around that I've got that are all over the place, we've all got them. This one here is the only one that's always in your pocket. Not only does it do a fantastic job of shooting all of these things for us, and there are so many tools built into it, but it's also with you right now, all the time. How many times have you been out and about and seen something that would be absolutely fantastic to get, a really brilliant thing happening on the spur of the moment, and you think, I wish I could shoot that, or that scene is absolutely brilliant, or that piece of stock footage I could use somewhere later on. That happens to us all. This thing here, you can shoot it with. You've got it with you. You don't have to run back to the car and miss that brilliant sunset or that cloud formation. You can get those seagulls fighting over something on the beach that you wanted to use for a scene. You can get to places with this just in your pocket and not have to have a backpack and a camera rig and batteries and spare lenses and things. You can get into places with this. You've always got it with you, so when you see something you want to film, you can do it. Anyway, I hope this has been useful to you. I hope you've had fun watching it. If you have, please leave any comments and questions in the comment section down below. Click all of these buttons. Don't forget also click here to subscribe and hit that notify bell. And after you've done that, you can go and watch this video and this video here, because they're pretty awesome as well. And I will see you in another video really soon. Have a great day.